In a moment, we'll start collecting clues as to the whys, the whats, and the wheres.
And I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Can you hear that? We will not end the nightmare. We'll only exploit it.
Whoa, Scooby Gang! A Ghost Adventure star may have narrowly avoided becoming a ghost himself after discovering that his wife put a hit on him. And if that's not scary enough for you, imagine being trapped inside of a computer. It could be happening right now. We'll tell you all about the latest synthetic biological intelligence machine for sale and all the Black Mirror nightmares it's causing. And what's for dinner? Let me tell you, don't ask any billionaires because the answer may disgust you. We're going full-on paranormal Anthony Bourdain as we uncover the wicked pescatarian dining habits of the rich and devious. With that, welcome to Oddnormal's What in the Weird? It's a show about nothing. I'm your host, Fiasco Jones. I'm joined by my co-host, Cold Coffee, who hates how much he loves dancing across dry lake beds every full moon, clothed only in a dirty buffalo hide, screaming invocations to Hecate, but never misses a chance to talk about it. Want to hear something weird?
I did something different here.
In a chilling turn of events, Victoria Goodwin, wife of Ghost Adventure star Aaron Goodwin, was arrested on March 6th in Nevada for allegedly plotting to murder her husband. Authorities uncovered communication between Victoria and a Florida prison inmate in which she allegedly sought assistance in orchestrating Aaron's murder. Reports indicate that Victoria had set aside over $11,500 for the plot, with an initial payment of $2,500. She also allegedly provided detailed information about Aaron's filming locations and schedule. The couple, who married in August 2022 at Disneyland's Haunted Mansion, had recently shared affectionate posts on social media, with Aaron expressing his love for Victoria on Valentine's Day. Upon learning the alleged plot, Aaron was reportedly blindsided and devastated, believing they were in a happy marriage. Victoria denies the allegations, claiming she has no memory of the incriminating messages and suggesting the funds were intended for purchasing cell phones. That's a lot of cell phones.
That's a lot of cell phones.
She's currently held on a $100,000 bail, facing charges of solicitation to commit murder and conspiracy to commit murder.
Horrible
wife.
Woman. Bad wife. Bad wife. And I mean, if you're going to try to find somebody, why are you going to be trying to get tips from somebody already in prison? Like, I don't know if that's the right person for the job.
Right. Yeah. Someone who has every interest in maybe reducing their time by snitching.
Yeah. I feel for the guy that
I do too. Yeah.
He seemed like he was happy. I looked at some of the pictures. He generally looked happy. And, as you said, he thought everything was good. It just shows you, man, what seems like on the surface is happy. Then women, just watch out. Then women, they'll get you.
I'm just kidding. Men or women, I don't think any spouse has hitman on their bingo card, on their marriage bingo card. So, I think most of us would be like, what the fuck? What? Getting assassinated is not up there.
Generally, if your relationship's not going well, you can just either divorce or break up. You don't need to end their life, folks.
Those are the traditional methods, yes.
Yes. I mean, I suppose somebody wants to go the extreme route, and end it for everyone. But I don't know. Maybe she wanted to make her own little star of Ghost Adventures, but in an ethereal form. Not
maybe that it was her long play to eventually communicate with the dead. That's
Honey,
grim.
It was me. I miss you so much. I miss you so much.
But now look, we've proved your life's effort. We've proved it through your death. Yes, I'm sure it's purely altruistic on her part. She really wanted to help move his
career
occupation.
Along.
His career along. Yeah, exactly. I would say what on the last kind of note I have on this is that I'm just kind of flabbergasted by the idea that you can just call someone up to murder people.
Apparently,
I
you
don't
cannot because it did not work.
Has it ever worked in real life? Is that? I mean, I don't think. I mean,
No, and it's like
I
I feel like we've heard instances before where somebody's feels like, well, who can I call? Let me find some ex-felon or find somebody in the system. It's like that doesn't work.
Right, exactly.
Like, when have we ever heard that working? Maybe that's why we haven't heard it work, because when it does work as it's supposed to, nobody knows, and it's
possibly.
You know,
and I think maybe that's the mystique, is that people assume this it has to be working for somebody, and but it doesn't. I think the truth of the matter is that it doesn't, because most people realize maybe I can turn informant and I can actually get a payday that way and keep my hands and stay out of prison. It's just.
Not that we're advocating for that. We would advocate that you go the traditional route,
killing people,
and just break up or divorce. There's other people out there. Don't ruin your life just because you're not happy. Just go your separate ways.
Just call it quits. And hitmen don't exist. It's
only
a
in
myth.
video games and movies,
right? And maybe in some certain family circles, the family.
Oh, the family.
Yeah, the family. In those circles, it probably works. But anywhere else, if you're talking to a guy in McDonald's and he says he's gonna,
he says he knows people.
Yeah, he's a Fed. So just don't try to kill people. Last postscript on this is that Aaron filed for divorce in Clark County, Nevada on Wednesday, March 12th. In the filing, Aaron seeks to maintain his separate property and have their community assets divided equally. However, he does want to have the costs of the community assets reimbursed. He is also seeking to have his single status restored. I don't think he's going to get any resistance on that. I think that he's
I mean, typically once you divorce, you're single again, right?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, as for if she's going to reimburse it, I don't know. She has $11,000, so I'm just saying. Yeah. Move over, Owen Fowdehagen. There's a new Nessie sighting, and this one has the full backing of the Loch Ness Centre. On January 29th, 2025, an unnamed visitor captured an image depicting a dark mass beneath the water surface, potentially marking the first official Nessie sighting of the year. But maybe not. This is official. That's the key part. Because just about a month ago, I'd say, we brought you news that infamous Nessie watcher Owen Fowdehagen claimed to have spied the beast through a live webcam. So I'm guessing it didn't measure up, because the Loch Ness Centre seems to think this latest photo is actually something special. The Loch Ness Centre's marketing manager, Amy Todd, told USA Today that when the image was taken on January 29th, the water was calm and conditions were perfect, which is unusual for the winter, when the weather often makes it difficult to spot anything potentially unusual. And she says that, I just thought it was brilliant because it really shows like the wave. And it looks like there is some kind of dark mass under the water pushing up that wave. That was.
I literally feel like I was there listening to her. That was amazing.
Yep. Did you are you able to pull up the photo? What do you think?
And I see the mass, I see the darkness, but I see all around it waves and other things where it's like, it doesn't look like calm water to me.
Yeah, it looks like a tempest.
At all. I don't know how deep that is, but it looks, it's almost like sort of transparent through like some of the dark things. So it looks like it was just maybe something just brushed a little something, but I don't know. Because it's hard to tell, because this looks like it's zoomed in quite a bit on the water.
Looks like it's like digitally enhanced. Yeah. Or not enhanced, but like zoomed in.
So it's not like it's muddy. Any sort of like a body part or anything coming up. It just looks like it could have just been maybe some sort of like turbulent in the water and it just caused like a crazy ripple or something. But I don't know.
It looks like a smudge to me.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to tell the scale of what this to look like. This could have been, I don't know. When I think Loch Ness and I think I'm going to see water, I want to see like the full scale of something that looks like it's an actual beast or something big. This, I can't tell the actual scale of it. So I can't tell if it's like 2 inches or if it's 3 inches. But whatever it is, it doesn't look like the water's that calm. So I'm not sure what she's talking about unless you know, that it got rippled like this because by the time a guy got his camera out, he's been watching this, you know, shape go through, you know, a large distance. But regardless, I at least can see this. When we saw the webcam, I could not see it. I watched the webcam video like 50 times trying to see what the hell Fraudhagen or Fodhagen or Fraudhagen.
Owen Fraudhagen.
How does he sound compared to the woman?
Hey, my name's Owen Fraudhagen.
I saw Loch Ness again.
I saw Nessie. She came and tried to burn up my finger.
At least this, I see something. So there's something to that, but I don't know. I'm glad that there's at least an image we could talk about. This, I feel like this is like when we were talking about the egg that was suspended underneath the helicopter. Now we can depict and we can pick out things about the actual image and the quality. Whereas if you have something that's like, here's this webcam footage, and I'm like, I can't see anything in it. I can't make anything up. At least this, you can see something, so you can sort of speculate. So is there a black mass in the picture? There sure is. There's certainly something, you know, right there.
Right now, I'm on my drives, my commute. I'm listening to this book on tape, Abominable Science, and I have to say, it's a book all about like debunking cryptids. And it is the most joyless thing I've heard.
Say, why would you ever want to listen to that? Because that's literally your wheelhouse. Like, why would you want? That's like, here, listen to this tape on how to figure out all the magic tricks you loved were nothing but shams.
Well, I mean, I just like to know things. And, you know, I mean, I would say in a lot of ways, I'm an interested skeptic, you know, like I very much enjoy all these things.
Stay in the mystery.
And that's what I try to do. I definitely try to keep the wonder going because otherwise it becomes joyous. And that's what's happening. Like listening, like every day, every morning, driving to work, I'm listening to this guy talk about how every single meticulously documenting how all of these things are complete and utter bullshit. And I'm like, I thought it'd be more fun, like just kind of like getting to know like the actual like because you know the one side, right? And now you're getting to learn the the other side, the skeptical side. And I was like, wow, this is not as much fun as I thought it would be because it really is. It's like pulling off Band-Aids, you know? It's like it's just it's its own version of torture.
Well, if you really don't like it, there's supposedly a guy in a Florida prison that can help you take the guy out for only $11,500.
$2,500 is a retainer. You know, that's pretty affordable.
You too can finish off the Skeptic Man.
Yeah, or have a
seat
quick ride to yeah. But honestly, though, if you don't want to lose the wonder, there is an opportunity for you. Because if you think you've got the right stuff and have a yearning to see the unbelievable, then the Loch Ness Centre has an offer you might be interested in. They are seeking an adventurous skipper to lead their Deepscan Cruise vessel. This role involves navigating the iconic waters of Loch Ness, sharing the legend of Nessie, and utilizing state-of-the-art sonar technology to explore beneath the surface. The position offers a unique opportunity to be part of ongoing research into the Loch's mysteries. Candidates with maritime experience and passion for storytelling are encouraged to apply.
That sounds right up your wheelhouse.
I have I can't swim. That's my.
But you don't have to. You're inside a boat. You're inside a submarine.
Until Nessie comes and pushes it over.
Well, if it hasn't done it yet, I think
she's waiting for me. She's waiting. It's fate. It's like those. It's that fate that eventually
she pops up. She looks at it and she's like, "Oh, no, he's not there. Never mind."
Yeah, every single time she could probably smell me. And so then the minute I get on that boat, she's like, "It's time," and the fates collide. Everyone gets to know that Nessie's
your voice for her. It's time.
It's time.
I thought, but so that doesn't. So
more like
you hear Nessie. I figure it'd be like a lass's voice. You know,
that's coming up. Those voices are coming up. Nessie is much girthier.
Oh,
you know, it's a giant plesiosaur, so it's like, you know, it's got some weight to it.
How does it sound?
It's time.
Nessie sounds like a dude. So is Nessie a male or a female?
You know, in their culture, the gender isn't
with that
not
voice
defined that way. Yeah,
that voice.
In Nessie culture, in the plesiosaurus culture, the men have higher lilting voices, and the have
they sweet talk the deep throated women in the bed
because they're smaller. They're like
come to bed. much, but I'll think about
Hey,
it.
baby, come over here. Nessie, come over here in the tunnels and the aquatic tunnels.
I'm over here doing women shit.
Exactly. She's scoping out the waters looking for me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I cannot apply to this. But if
That
any of
sounds
you,
pretty fucking awesome. It sounds really cool.
it sounds like a great job,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, and at any moment, Nessie could appear. She won't because she's waiting for me. But still, I mean, it's a nice little you get to talk about Nessie all day and sail around, do the sonar thing. I'm sure that's fun. You hit a button, boom, 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 and look into the depths.
Then every time they look one way, oh no, look over there. Oh, you guys just missed her. She was just right there.
She winked at me. Yeah, exactly. So fun all around. Fun for everyone.
Fun.
Now let's talk about a story that's less fun. Okay. For this next story, all I can say is they should have stopped at adrenochrome. Just gonna leave it there, and then you'll know what I'm talking about at the end. So earlier this month, a peculiar conspiracy theory dubbed mermaid eating parties surfaced on TikTok, alleging that society's elite secretly dine on mermaids. And if you're not certain, mermaids were once believed to be a mythical beings with human upper bodies and fish-like tails. They have since become an actual menu item for some of the wealthiest people. The theory gained traction when TikToker Jaylee 2.07 shared a narrative about an ex-convict named Landon. According to the story, Landon struggled to find employment after getting out of the slammer and joined his cousin Travis on a fishing charter led by one Captain Burgess, who had a terrible secret. Upon boarding, Landon noticed large tanks purportedly reserved for high-paying catches. You might think swordfish, maybe an octopus, a giant octopus, maybe or a kraken.
A shark every once in a while.
Right, yeah. Well, either way, he soon discovered what the captain meant a few nights later during a stormy night.
It's all hands on deck. You know what I mean? They're all outside. It's pouring rain. It's storming. And they bring the net up. He said that it was like a pasty, whitish green skin. And the fin, okay, from like the hip bone down, like the hip bones were huge. But from there down, it was just like the body of a fish. And he said that it was like bright, greenish white, silvery scales. And very, very slimy. And like greenish black hair. And it spoke. He said that he couldn't understand what language it was speaking in, but it felt like it was begging for its life. So Burgess is screaming, get the tank. They get it rolled out there. The fluid in it sloshing all over the place. They get her in there and she sinks to the bottom and she's just pleading for her life, underwater, pleading for her life. And he's like, I did not sign up for this. What the fuck is going on? And they ended up going to port and they went to a different warehouse and they took this siren to a different warehouse and it was set up like a restaurant. And they say it's like really common among the wealthy. And they put it on a gurney. They pushed it out and they all had their knives and forks and everything else. It was set up like hibachi sort of.
Now that's pretty medieval shit. Like the mermaids that hasn't even been cooked yet, and they're just like gurneying it over, like give me that yum mermaid, like a whole hibachi.
Oddly enough,
slice it up.
She had the voice of what I assume Nessie sounds like. If Nessie sounded like her, then I'd be like, okay, let me go get that boat job. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that clip outside of, I don't know. I mean, the story is interesting.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was going to say. I would encourage you and anyone listening to go to, and it's going to be in the show notes, so you can go click on it. But she's a good storyteller. I give her that 100%.
I definitely had the images. I had the image in my head.
Yeah, I had to cut that down, but she tells nice little stories, nice little like kind of little creepypasta kind of little story. And so I was like, wow, it's pretty good. And she has she got pay dirt on the mermaid story.
Yeah.
So there is like which mind you, she calls a siren. I caught that. She says she doesn't call it a mermaid. She says a siren.
And because if you play the route of siren, and if you play whatever, you say whatever. I mean, like siren used to, and the mermaids supposedly, like, they just destroyed whole fleets, because once they got dangerous, they would start singing and it literally would just cripple everybody. So to think that this one they just happened to pull the little fucking mermaid that couldn't fucking have any powers, and all of a sudden, she's weak and they can't do anything. Like, everything we've heard through time is that sirens and mermaids were powerful, and like,
you steer clear.
Yeah. And like, so to think like, oh, he couldn't understand its voice. I was like, normally, granted, maybe those were all just stories and they never had those powers or whatever. But if we're going to believe that they exist, why not believe that they have the powers or whatever? But I don't know. To think that there's, so many mermaids being caught that there's this whole like dinner party that's just set up waiting. Like, they just had it caught. They just caught it. And then apparently all these people are just waiting in this room for somebody to show up and get hibachi / mermaid, like, do they call somebody and say, hey, by the way, we picked somebody up. We're on the boat. We'll be back in port in an hour. Get everybody together. And then everybody gets in their rich suits. They call their driver and they're like, driver, it's time. Code. Blah, 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 blah. I like that. They're like, nobody will ever guess what that code is. And then they all round up there and they all have their cutlery waiting. They're like, bring out the hibachi.
Well, in fact, if you go and listen to her story, she does explain that, yes, it was all this Captain Burgess guy was kind of their man. And they had given him special technology equipment to go hunt specifically for these mermaids because they are such a delicacy and such an important part of this rich culture of eating sentient creatures. So, yeah. And here's the thing. So, yes, that. And you're wondering, like, but wait, this can't be happening all over the place, but it is, because once that story hit TikTok, it caught on like wildfire.
Oh yeah, of course.
And other TikTok creators like Tiff's Ghost Talk recounted a tale of an individual's invited to, or someone emailed her, and he was invited to an exclusive Hollywood gathering featuring strange delicacies.
He was ushered in, led to the dining room, and he said it was like this really long table, and on the other side of the table was just a wall of windows facing the ocean. There were about 25 people in there. The host says, I would like to thank everyone for coming today. Lucky to experience such a delicacy, and, this is a rarity that very few get to experience, like really like laying it on thick. Then 4 servers step forward, they all grab a handle and lift it up, and he said there's an audible gasp. Then, in detail, he goes on to describe what we would know as a mermaid.
She then describes how the man leaves the dinner in revulsion, only to accidentally stumble into a room full of mermaids trapped in these large tanks, like aquarium tanks or whatever. Some are out of it. Some are clearly, he describes them clearly as like conscious and like, worried and anxious. They know their fate. And on the way out, the host confronts him and says, and the man's like, he's incredulous. He's like, what are those things? What are those things? And the host simply says, what? You didn't think I'd have a mermaid party and not serve actual mermaids? These parties are ubiquitous, Cold Coffee. They're everywhere, and the rich are having them. The question is, to what end? To what end? What is it about the mermaid, aside from that it's a sentient creature, and we all know that rich people are evil, and they want to feast on the living, the conscious living people. What else? I mean, I think there was a lookup. Everything I've heard about mermaids is that they're bad luck if you mess with them. But there is an anime out there.
Eating them would be super bad luck, right. I mean, do you start with the breast meat, or I mean, what do we start with here? Like on a turkey, you go straight to the breast meat.
You probably go for the face. I'm guessing, because that's the most brutal way to eat somebody. They're just like just eat their face
you're saying while they're alive. That's what you're saying?
Because it sounds like in all these instances they're partially alive, if not fully alive. They're just like staring back as they're like singing their song, which again is dangerous. You shouldn't let the mermaids sing to you.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I could think I was the first one. I would definitely was a pass. The second one was a smash. I would say her story was better.
It's also much longer. I cut that down to 30 seconds to 40 seconds.
Really.
It's like 5 minutes long. She tells another. She's a good storyteller as well. So another if you want to go get the full scope.
I mean, I don't know. Where did the first story take place that we heard from Jay Lee? Was that also in California? I mean, these people just.
I think it was in Florida.
Okay,
I think it was
so
on
Florida.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that accent was definitely a little something. I didn't know if it was a matter of like people trying to pick on the rich California elite, like the movie stars and the actors or whatever, and people just trying to say like, oh, here's another crazy shit. And if we say a crazy story, next thing you know, Trump will say it's true, and he's going to talk about the transgender mice and
right.
all this, And did you know that they're eating mermaids too? They're eating mermaids.
Honestly, I didn't. That would be epic. I would love if this is all just one huge like psychological operation on behalf of people trolling him to see what exactly will he just say anything. Let's make this mermaid thing. Let's get this mermaid thing, and let's see if he'll mention it in a press conference.
I swear, the dude doesn't read any regular news. All he do is trolling. Is just his people are trolling social media for like all the stuff. So I would not be surprised if protect our country's mermaids. The elite liberals are eating our mermaids.
Right, and that's the thing too. Yeah,
mermaids.
It has a lot of the tropes. Other than the mermaid aspect, which is the kind of the new thing, then it just kind of treads onto the old stuff about, oh yeah, the rich will eat anything. They're disgusting, disgusting monsters.
So does it? I mean, because when you think of it, I mean, like even though they are these mythical creatures, they are half human or whatever and half fish or whatever. Do you feel like it's like cannibalism, right? Does the story ring like it's cannibalism, or when you hear that they're eating them alive, or do you not even think about that? You just think they're eating like these beasts or whatever?
Well, that's a good question, because at what point we can assume that there's probably a common ancestor, since they have the upper torso of a humanoid, but maybe not. Maybe kind of like there's this idea that crabs have been invented or evolved several times independently in the history of Earth, because the crab form is just that, I guess, efficient. So maybe this humanoid, that the upper part of our humanoid body is just like it mechanically has a lot of advantages, I guess, in the deep ocean.
Yes, but even if you look at that, could you not think about that you were not eating a person if you're eating something that looked like a person?
I don't think I'm eating a person when I eat monkeys.
Do you eat monkeys?
All the time,
just monkey brains.
I shouldn't say that. The elite, the elites, the elite club. I'm invited to. We're not allowed to talk about it.
Mix,
yeah.
You saw that? What is it? Raiders of the Lost Ark, or what are the ones? And you're like,
it was Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. You're like, I must have the monkey brains.
Yeah. And that's so it started me on my thigh. It's just a passion for monkey brains.
Traumatized me when I was a kid. I was like,
traumatized everybody.
I was like, what is going on? Don't eat the brains.
Yeah. I would have, there's some thoughts about it. It could be, there could be some, human-like parts, but then, I'd have to say no, because, they're fish creatures. So I think they just evolved to look like people. So therefore they're fish. And if you eat fish, then you should be fine. You should be fine. They probably have magical powers. They probably have a civilization. They have a language, and maybe you can steal their soul by eating their flesh, their magical flesh. So there's no reason why you shouldn't eat mermaids. It's just that you should probably euthanize them before you eat them. You shouldn't just eat them while they're awake. They would eat us, and we know that they have. Here's the thing. This is payback for all the sailors they killed, okay? I don't know why we have to...
Well, that's why we think if we think they killed them, how do these weak little ones just all of a sudden, how do they have so many that were just like...
It's because somewhere along the way, they elected Donald Trump the mermaid, a Triton Trump, and he destroyed their civilization. And now they're no longer the great empire they used to be. They're just these half fish just getting picked up by Florida ex-cons and eaten by our wealthy people. That's what happens. That's what's going to happen to us if we follow the path of Donald Trump. Eventually the octopuses will evolve and they'll start fishing us from land. We'll just be walking around, and all of a sudden the tentacle just grab around our neck and just whoosh, and we're gone. And they won't think twice about it, because they'll be saying, you know what they did when they were in control? They ate us. They called us calamari. They dipped us in sauce, and they didn't think twice about it.
Yep.
So now it's their time. Now it's their turn. We're going to get some long pork off the shore, and it's going to be fine. We're going to just eat it up. I do wonder what they taste like, the mermaids. And my guess is whatever tastes the most like, whatever the pig equivalent of a fish is, the fish equivalent of a pig, that's what a mermaid probably tastes like. Because supposedly, according to cannibals, I wouldn't know by experience, but cannibals say that humans taste like the sweetest, most delectable pork in the world.
Interesting.
That's why we're called long pork. Yeah.
Interesting.
In cannibal circles, people are called long pork.
Free the mermaids. Save the mermaids.
It's not too late to get into the mermaid lore. Get in on that. And if you have any stories, report those stories to TikTok immediately. Get the truth out there. As for moving on from the eating habits of the rich to the dark science of the psychic minds. Do you think you're psychic?
No. I used to want to think I wanted to be, or like that I was, but
there's a possibility you could have latent psychic abilities. And science may have found a way to activate your hidden powers.
Let's go.
Yeah. Recent breakthroughs in neuroscience suggest that brain stimulation may hold the key to unlocking psychic-like abilities. Emerging research indicates that targeted neural activation can enhance perception, intuition, and even induce mystical experiences, raising questions about the limits of human consciousness. There are no limits with my consciousness.
Did you just get an image of mermaid boobs in your head?
I did, actually. Wait.
All right, then maybe I am psychic.
Oh, look at that. Holy crap. They wouldn't, they're egg bearing. They wouldn't have boobs. Fish lay eggs.
Every depiction of mermaids that we've ever seen, the tops of them.
That's from sailor lore.
So you think they're just scales up to the neck? Just straight fish necks, and then it's just a human body with shoulders with nothing?
I mean, they probably have pectoral muscles,
Why they gotta be muscles? Why can't they be boobs?
Because they need to move their arms. They need muscles. I mean, fish have muscles.
Well, there's muscles underneath the boobs.
But what they don't lactate. They're giving birth to because they're giving birth to eggs. The eggs have all the stuff in them.
But it's for the mermaids to play with.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna cut this part. Recent studies using transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, have demonstrated the ability to influence cognitive functions and sensory perception. Researchers have found that stimulating the temporal lobes, areas of the brains associated with memory and altered states, can produce sensations of a presence, out-of-body experiences, and vivid visual imagery. These effects closely resemble reports from individuals claiming psychic encounters, and very much so paranormal encounters like UFO abductions. So these findings were made possible using a device created by neuroscientist Michael Pressinger. Is called the God Helmet. Researchers in the field believe with non-invasive brain stimulation methods advancing, there are potential applications for cognitive enhancement, meditation, and therapeutic interventions. If specific neural circuits can be activated to produce heightened awareness or intuition, the implications could range from improving mental health to reshaping how we understand psychic phenomenon. So with just a few little zips in your brain, you too could have psychic abilities. It doesn't sound like intuition, meditation, don't sound like telepathy or telekinesis.
Any of the cool ones that you would say like in a movie.
Right.
Just like, we're going to make you more intuitive. So when your wife wants to kill you, you might pick up on it,
Yeah, you might see the signs.
That might be useful. That honestly might be useful.
For some people, it would be very useful.
I mean, it's cool. I think anything that can tap into the brain and maybe make you use stuff. I think that we touched on that before. We only use so little of our brain, and maybe if it's a matter of going in there with this God helmet and tapping into it, and that creates some heightened awareness and opens up some other things. I mean, cool, but I mean, it sucks. It doesn't give you all the other cool, like high, big. I want to move things with my mind. Like, where's the helmet that I can just literally like, hey, bottle of water, I don't want to pick it up with my hand. Just float up here and like give me a drink. Like,
I will say that that's probably not going to happen through this practice, but I do wonder, like in that advanced future, when the AI gods have crossed over into our reality and they've essentially merged with our bodies, and the techno robots, the technobots, that just kind of like come in and out of us like oxygen. If we can then just kind of like just send signals to them, they lift it and bring it to us. Unfortunately, that's probably 5 years away, so we'll have to wait.
It's not long. You say it like
it's still too long. It's still too long because I want psychic abilities now. I want telekinesis now. So 5 years is an eternity, and the waiting sucks. But as for this, I mean, obviously, I think it's pretty interesting. The God helmet, Pressinger's God helmet, has actually been around for a while. I remember seeing news stories about this. I want to say like in the 90s.
Wow.
And originally, he's one of these scientists that doesn't necessarily completely disparage the paranormal. He actually sees it as a challenge. I don't know if he would call himself an actual parapsychologist, which is the term that people usually, when they're working on psychics, all the paranormal stuff, and they're trying to apply real science to it, they call him parapsychologist. But I don't know if he would describe himself that way. But this is kind of what I think about when I think of that type of person who's studying these things. And they're coming up with a very rational, reasonable experiment. Because his original theory was that high electromagnetic exposure will cause weird disturbances with your synapses and brains, and it will create these phenomenon. And because I don't know if he actually did any kind of studies where he charted people who said like they experienced abduction stories, and there was a correlation between that and massive high voltage lines, which would emit large electromagnetic radiation. But that was his hypothesis. And so to study it, he basically created this helmet, and the helmet basically just zaps you with a ton of EMF, and to the point where he'll leave you in a room and then he'll zap you, and people experience like 1-to-1 the experience of like an abduction, like things in the room with them. People will see things in the room with them. And it sounds like also other people have had more kind of what would be described as more psychic experiences, where they probably have a sense of like out of body experiences. So his theory is that these are just phenomena due to us being like, inundated by EMF radiation. But it also sounds a lot like what people kind of experience when they're on like ayahuasca or any of these really strong hallucinogens, where Terrence McKenna talks about the machine elves, and other people talk about when they're on these drugs, they actually get transported to other places and they see or communicate with other beings out there that just feel as real as anything. And yes, we can dismiss it as like, oh yeah, it's just your brain playing tricks on you. Or are these two phenomena linked, where when you start like tweaking the transmitter in our head or the receiver transmitter in our head, and you shift out of reality a little bit, and you can then start perceiving things that you're not supposed to see, or that we're not normally capable of seeing. That's where it kind of takes me in my head, where when I hear this kind of stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, because it does seem like we're having altered states. Could just be a chemical reaction. Or it could also be one of those like things where it's simply disrupting what we call reality, that reality function, and allowing you to essentially like peek through and like, oh, what is this? Yeah.
I think you hit it on the head. That's what it sounds like. He was able to mimic like the chemical reaction from somebody taking like ayahuasca or acid or something, like it literally zaps their brain enough to the point where it's just like, okay, we're in this different thinking mode. We're in a totally different operating mode, because the way you described that, I was like, that's exactly what it sounds like. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I wouldn't recommend zapping it too much. I think it's interesting. He's like, I'm gonna get the fuck out of the room before I turn this on. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, this helmet, it doesn't just stay in your head; it's the whole damn body,
And then I don't know if there's like concrete science or this is like junk science. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that they have kind of there is like some controversy about like living near high voltage power lines because of that EMF radiation. That it can like that kind of exposure, constant exposure can F you up. I think that gets lumped into the cell phone conspiracy types, or maybe I don't know. I mean, it could very well just be not. But when real, you
look I know when I look at some of the places where you do see like sort of like the little power substation set up within your area, you're around the housing, or I don't know. They used to have one by my old place, and there was nothing really right around it, And I have to think that there's a reason for that, either outside of maybe just the fact of, say if something happens and it triggers a fire, they don't want houses right next door, but maybe there is something to the fact of, general practice says don't put anybody living and babies and young kids and their small brains next to these powerful, EMF signals and stuff. I guarantee they don't have any of them near the rich sides of town. They're going to keep near the lower end of town, and where there's
good point.
I'm sure some of the things lead to, outside of even dreams or whatever, they probably lead to aggression and probably a lot of other stuff that people don't think or wouldn't attribute it to the fact of their vicinity to some of these huge emitters that are zapping them. Whereas the guys in the suburbs are like, no, I seem fine. Like, what are you talking about? I sleep great at night. And you got the guys down.
Violent dreams? What are you talking about? Violent dreams?
Every night's a nightmare.
Right, they're coming for me. You don't feel the presence. When I sleep, I feel the presence. No, man. I'm just all by myself.
Nah.
I feel carefree, making millions, eating mermaids. So that's what you need, dude, Johnny. You need to eat some of that mermaid flesh. You'll just sleep like a baby. Something about the cruelty. Yeah. It just makes you sleep better.
It's flavored with cruelty.
Yeah. It's just the tears. Mermaid tears. All right. I love that the mermaid keeps coming back. That we just
I just wonder, so do the guys that do the hibachi, the mermaids, do they do all the tricks like you see at the regular hibachi places? Where they're flipping the egg and they're spinning it and stuff.
Probably even more so. I mean, how often do you get the privilege of chopping up a mermaid? I'm sure that, and again, cruelty's the point, right? So you need to, make fun of the mermaid as it's being diced and served to people. It's like, oh, you want a finger? Chop it right off and flick it into your mouth, open wide.
He flicks it into the mouth. Yeah. You want a finger?
Exactly. Because that's the energy that they feed off. It's the adrenochrome. Because that's probably what happens by eating the cruelty transforms their blood into some kind of elixir.
Whoa.
And so the more terror they're in, the more that the rich people can become younger. Yeah, they can taste the terror.
Yes,
and that's what keeps them young. So
it's so cruel. That's so evil. Like, oh, it's like a fucking horror story, man. This is terrible.
I mean, I really like this mermaid rabbit hole that TikTok has opened up. I think
oh my goodness,
it's really showing. I haven't really seen this kind of I haven't really jumped into that level, but there's some good storytellers out there, and I was actually quite surprised. Like, good job, guys.
Yeah. Coming to theaters soon, I imagine.
Probably. But here's some more nightmare fuel for you. In a new breakthrough, cyborgs got a little more real and a lot more ugly. Cortical Labs has unveiled their groundbreaking achievement, CL1, the world's first synthetic biological intelligence that integrates living human brain cells with electronic computing components. This innovation represents a significant leap toward creating more efficient, adaptable artificial intelligence systems. The CL1 system combines clusters of human neurons cultivated from stem cells with traditional silicon-based hardware. Despite sounding very Black Mirror-esque, this hybrid approach is said to leverage the inherent learning capabilities and energy efficiencies of biological neurons, potentially overcoming limitations faced by conventional AI architectures. But you might be saying, but how do we know if these neurons are, I don't know, awake? They're aware of this terrible prison they're in. There would seem to be a ton of ethical questions that arise from this kind of work. As SBI systems incorporate human neurons, there's a possibility they could develop forms of consciousness or sentience. Unlike plants, these machines are using human neurons. So if they do wake up, does that mean they are people? Does this machine now have personhood? So what are your thoughts on this new nightmare that we've created out of whole cloth? We had no need to do this. No reason to do this.
There's no reason at all to do it.
It seems like let's make them the cruelest like machine ever. And we'll put human neurons in there and we won't even ask it if it's alive. What are your thoughts?
People are so rushing to create like these humanoid, cyborg, next robot things that people will do anything. They're like, if I can combine somehow human elements with robotics, let's do it. What for? Because I can. The mermaids are already taken, so let me see. What else can I do? I don't know, man. I feel like somebody was going to do it eventually, so it just makes sense that it's starting to happen. But I don't know, man. The way that AI and everything's moving forward, and now you got people wanting to, use human neurons and try to give them intelligence, and then to see what it goes from that point. I mean, I don't know what neurons can do, outside of just being neurons. I mean, outside of
a brain like that. I have the same skepticism. Like, are you serious that like a silicon-based like chip? I mean, they're already thinking faster than us, on the machines. I feel like putting a human neuron in there would actually be a bottleneck because it's it's this biological thing. Part of me, I honestly, the more I read this, I keep thinking like this can't be real. This sounds too sci-fi, but in a kind of a hackneyed kind of way of just in a weird, cruel, dystopian fiction that okay, this. Because it doesn't sound like you said, like there's something that this it doesn't fall past the sniff test, because it just seems like, how is it that human neurons are somehow superior in a computer, because and that's the other thing too, the human part, why apes maybe because apes are dumber than us and you want to get like the real apex intelligence
than us.
Right, exactly. That's what it's going to have. Ape muscles. It's going to have a human brain, ape muscles.
You want processing power? Get some ape muscle in there, dog. I mean, I know they always talk about how the brain can do some crazy processing, but I'm pretty sure that these chips have surpassed that a bazillion years ago. Like, why try to put a human element in something that doesn't need to be? But outside of the fact of just saying, I want to be a mad scientist and do it, and I want to put it together, even though they're like, well, we did it. There's no real practical use for it, so we're just going to go figure out something else. I mean, I don't understand. Like, is this supposed to lead to something else? Is this just the first portion, and then you take this and you can then plug it into another system, and then the neurons will connect, and it's a new way of connecting modules because the neurons will interact as opposed to, building a circuitry. They're using this human neuron network, to combine things, and so
as like a circuit board,
a circuit board. And they're like, whereas Apple's couldn't work with Windows systems, the motherboards and things are different. Now they're like, well, as long as you have the neuron network, everything can combine itself somehow, as long as you can put it together, or
Right.
I don't know.
And again, that's the other thing too, because like, yeah, that kind of makes sense a little bit, because you have to think that there has to be some architectural advantages when you're using biological systems, because we have evolved over millennia, and we have some innate just advantages over just trying to engineer it on our own. Because, but at the same time, as I say that, though, you look at some of these chips that are coming out of Apple or other companies, and you can zoom into them like to almost to the like it feels like the atomic scale. You just zoom, and it's just layers and layers and layers and layers of these just absolutely microns.
It's ridiculous how crazy
and
it is.
It's like you're telling me so, and take that and then compare it to the fact that these AI companies are on the verge of artificial general intelligence, and they're not using like brains. In fact, it seems like using brains would be a bottleneck, because they're so much faster. Every day there's some new AI achievement, and it just makes it's hard to make me. And also, these machines just look clunky as F. They look like these 1950s horrors of like, there's like a little petri dish on one end, and then tubes, and I guess somewhere there's some circuit boards. They look inefficient. They look inefficient because it's going to be a power of my cell phone. This thing's the size of a I don't even know. It's huge. It's a big ass. What would this how big was that? I don't know what the size of that is, but yeah, they don't look efficient. So yeah,
I mean, maybe they don't put off the heat like typical ones do. So maybe there's something with that that's more energy efficient, because you don't have to use as much energy to cool these systems down. Like when you have a lot of these AI systems and these fancy chips and all these graphic processings and blah, 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 the heat generated, that's where so much energy is being used to try to cool them down. Maybe there's something with these systems that they don't have the same heat expenditure.
Yeah, maybe.
So then they're more efficient in that manner. But yeah, when you think of just in pure processing power, I'm like, I don't see how adding a human component or neurons or any sort of humanness to it would do well. But unless it's for the fact of somehow you can connect bodies, neurons and atoms and genes and together.
Or this is just how they realize they've tapped in again. It's that terror. Yeah. They realize that the pure terror of these living things is energy. They are awake. They know that these things are alive. They're like, help me. And that's what they're powered on. They're powered on the lost souls of these neurons.
Yeah, they're like, don't ever plug it into a speaker, because it'd be like,
exactly.
Kill me.
Right.
Pour water on me.
Right. Because it does seem just pure. I mean, whose invention, like whose mind said, okay, you know what these computers need? They need brain cells. And they're like, Jimmy, why? I don't know, because I hate people.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the thought was behind it. Like I guess I need to research more what their goal is. I mean, like it doesn't. It's just twisted. It's bizarre.
Right, because on this article it says the ethics of this technology has been front and center for Cortical. That breakthrough 2022 paper sparked plenty of debate around it, particularly in the area of human consciousness and sentience. However, guardrails are in place as much as they can be. As much as they can. That's reassuring. As much as they can be. Yeah. For the ethical use of CL1 units and remote WAS, wetware as a service access.
Well, you say that right. You said the word, because it's funny. I clicked on the link that was here below that took you over to Wikipedia. I've heard that people talking about wetware, like these organic computers, they've been talking about that for some time, like I feel like, but it was always talked about like in the use of like human robots and like, building, something. So like, I don't know. It's just, I guess people are just dead set on creating cyborgs, like the perfect weapon, but the perfect processing weapon that can gauge situations and do whatever. I mean, I
And
don't
still
know.
have a soul. And still
And
have,
still have a soul.
that
So
human
they can
touch.
still love us and not
Right.
just kill us.
And maybe that's the thing. Maybe little do we know that's going to save us. The wetware as a service. These robots with human cells are going to have a certain affinity for where they came from, and they're going to have that human touch, and they'll help us defeat the AI gods.
They'll save
and
the mermaids first. That's what they're going to do.
They will probably mate
They're
with
like,
the mermaids.
we're
They'll
wetware
find
too.
kinship.
Mermaids are like,
Yeah.
we're wetware too. We live in the water. Save us.
Exactly. Perfect. All right. So that was the show. Oddnormal's What in the Weird is a production of KTLU in association with Rotten Baby Media. Because if we don't, my wife will have an ex-con from Florida text nasty messages to me. The show is produced by me and Cold Coffee. The show is edited by yours truly on behalf of all the misunderstood mermaid eaters. It's the only way I can get a full night's sleep, folks. It has to happen. Full episodes are posted to YouTube and Spotify, where you can see our faces. Cold Coffee doesn't actually have a face.
I don't.
So you're going to want to see that. It's disturbing. If you'd like to support the show, use your newly stimulated psychic abilities to project the thought, listen to Oddnormal, into the heads of everyone around you. Or just you can just ask them to like and subscribe instead. We do have socials at Oddnormal. Haven't really touched them yet. So
But they're there.
I mean, they exist. They exist. You can comment, I guess. I don't know. Maybe. Most of all, thank you for listening. Live in wonder.
Eat your cookies.
There we go. Boom.
Oddnormal.